Welcome, everyone. We're going to start this commission meeting for the Board of Commissioners, Port of Bellingham, for October 21st, 2025. Commissioner Briscoe, the chair, is fishing. He's here by Zoom, so I'll be presiding over this meeting. Roll call. Commissioner Bobby Briscoe.
Yes.
Commissioner Michael Shepard.
Here.
Commissioner Ken Bell. We're all present. We're going to open the meeting by reading the advisory committee schedule. The Marine Advisory Committee is an in-person only here in this office building in the Harbor Center Commission Chambers, November 11th, 2025 at 6 p.m. The International Airport Advisory Committee is in person and on Zoom for December 18th at 4 p.m. The Zoom link can be found on our webpage. Now we will open the commission meeting with public comment. Anybody wishing to speak before this commission has the time to do so. So while she's getting the list, anybody else that was thinking about it, gather your thoughts. Love to hear from you. And anybody online, just make yourself known and we will call you out. Okay, we have the list, and the first one, don't get old. Randall Port, you're the first to comment for the commission.
Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Randall Parton. My company provides yacht management, brokerage services, vessel repair, operating lessons, and towing and rescue services in Blaine Harbor. Firstly, I'd like to thank Andy Peterson and the Blaine Harbor staff for the various ways in which they have supported the development of our marine businesses over the past 7 years. I'm here today to refer back to a Port Commission meeting on April 5th, 2016. The members of this body at that time were Commissioner McCauley, Commissioner Briscoe, Commissioner Robbins, and Director Fix. I'm also speaking in consideration of a 2024 public petition with more than 100 signatories that asks for fair fuel access in the Blaine area. I will conclude with one question, a question that does not pertain to the plans, for which we're all grateful, for a new fuel facility in the future. At the Port Commission meeting in 2016 that's available online on the Port's YouTube channel, Paul Barlock, the former president of the Semiahmoo Marina Condominium Association, made a formal presentation to this body wherein he represented that the SMCA, Semiahmoo Marina, would offer certain things that would make it unnecessary for the Port of Bellingham to pursue developing a public fuel source in Blaine Harbor. At that time, SMCA was giving commercial operators and the Semiahmoo Yacht Club significant fuel discounts. They offered these discounts, an average discount between gasoline and diesel of about 8% at that time, as an incentive for the port to not invest in a public fuel facility, stating that SMCA would extend this fuel discount to, quote, tenants of the whole port, be it Bellingham or Blaine, unquote. More subjectively, SMCA stated to this commission that they are, quote, ready to be a good neighbor, unquote, and that their intent is not, that their intent, quote, that their, quote, intent is to not become a commercial monopoly, unquote, and, quote, this isn't to become a commercial monopoly as much as I just want to explain to you what we think our services are. With that in mind, a crucial role of a public marine fuel facility is to support its commercial fleet and other commercial marine operators. I am currently aware of at least 4 Port of Bellingham licensed marine merchants who have been outright banned from or feel like they can't comfortably get marine fuel from SMCA for their businesses. I have also become aware of several commercial fishing operators who are choosing to fuel their vessels from cans. Whatever the purported reasons are, this does not seem to be neighborly nor does it reflect SMCA's statement in their 2016 proposal that they want, quote, "what's best for the community," unquote. It's important to note that after that 2016 meeting, SMCA did honor fuel discounts for Port of Bellingham tenants, commercial operators, and the Semiahmoo Yacht Club, but not for long. Those incentives to the community disappeared quickly. However, the advantages of SMCA's fuel monopoly have remained for over a decade already and will remain for years to come. A couple of quick caveats I will mention. Any interested party should not rely on my representations here. I encourage them to view the video of the 2016 Port Commission meeting that is available online. For efficiency, I can provide timestamps for the quotes I've used here. It's a 4-hour meeting. I would strongly encourage this governing body to read the comments that many of the 100+ signatories included on their signatures with the Your Access to Marine Fuel petition. They are very telling. In conclusion, I will point out that after SMCA's 2016 proposal, comments from this panel at the time included, if we're going to have a partnership with Semiahmoo, then don't spend the $10,000 to remove the tanks and let's move forward with that route. The proposal from SMCA was that if the port did not pursue a public fuel facility, then Semiahmoo would provide their presented considerations. And for well over a decade now, SMCA has derived the financial benefits and control of being the only available fuel in the area. Perhaps SMCA could be asked to go back to honoring the things that they offered this commission and our boating community in exchange for the benefit that they are getting. We all know that the public fuel dock is years away. In the interim, my question is as follows. Would each of the commissioners here be willing to create and sign a written request within the next 30 days to SMCA, one that the public can access online, wherein you request that SMCA honor the proposals they made in that 2016 meeting, the fuel discounts they proposed and once honored, and also operating generally in a way that considers the safety and interest of the Blaine community at large. And finally, it requests that SMCA respond in writing within 30 days, which will also be easily publicly accessed for viewing online. Drafting this request would take around an hour, and the cost to the port and the public would be zero. Is that something that each of you would or would not do, and why?
So I think the prudent way to do this is let us discuss it at the other business portion of the meeting. Commissioner Briscoe, if you're okay with that, Commissioner Shepard? Because we'd like to...
that'd be prudent. It's not, this isn't question and answer period right now. So.
Yeah, agreed.
Sure, and the response would be when?
Tonight, we'll
Today.
try to get you as much as we can, yeah.
Okay, great.
You'll get the tone and the tenor real quick.
Thank you.
Thank you for saving me the trouble of not going back to figure out which commissioners actually signed that agreement, which is something I've had to do in the past. Do I have to call on this guy? Yeah. Elliot Smith? I'm afraid.
Don't be afraid. I'm Elliot Smith. I'm the real estate director here at the port, and I have brought Brian Gowron with me as well. I would like to call everyone's attention to the historic information about the port 100th anniversary that's located off to my left. Around 1989, you will see that the Bellingham Cruise Terminal was established. And about 5 years before that, 2 port employees began at the Port of Bellingham who are still working here today. Judy and Alan, come forward to be embarrassed.
Oh, I love this.
So we just want to take a minute to thank these guys. They've been here for a few years. Great contributors still, and thank you very much.
both having their 40-year anniversary.
See, I told you not to be afraid.
Yeah, just yeah, just really quick on Alan specifically. 40 years ago today, he started here at the port and has been here doing tons of different things. Worked in the marinas, worked at the fueling at the airport, was a Blaine Harbor Master, and was my port buddy and office mate for years when I first started here. So had a long 20 years working with Alan, and yeah, congratulations to both of you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you both.
Thank you both. Anyone else wishing to speak before the commission, or anyone online wishing to make yourself known? Dan.
Good evening, Commission. Dan Tucker, Whatcom Working Waterfront Coalition. I just wanted to highlight that this week is One Ocean Week down in Seattle. This is a very special event that's having a whole bunch of industry professionals representing all of the maritime sectors in Washington State come together to talk about the future of maritime and what it can do for our communities and what it can do for the world. And we're going to be going down there on Thursday to represent our Bellingham and Whatcom County working waterfronts at that discussion on the Working Waterfront Day that the Port of Seattle is hosting on Thursday. So we're excited to go down there and talk about all the things that we have going on in this county for our working waterfronts and our maritime industry. I do hope that next time in the future you guys are able to join us. I know that Adrian got down today, but we'd be stoked to have you guys down there as well if it ever happens again. And I do also want to piggyback on what Mr. Parton, I believe, was saying earlier. We have seen a lot of comments over the years for folks that want a fuel dock in Blaine. That has been an ongoing concern. And from a standpoint of a public facility that is publicly accountable for when it needs to take action on tenants, I think that's an appropriate thing to have and not have that be monopolized by a single private provider. So just to put that out there, that's something the coalition has advocated for a long time. We would love to see a public fuel dock in Blaine as well. But excited to represent all we're doing at One Ocean Week.
Thank you. Anyone else? Going once, going twice? Sold. Okay, well, let's move on to the consent agenda.
Motion to approve consent agenda items A through I.
Commissioner Shepard, do you have anything?
Yeah, my only question is for C, and this is for the Alaska Marine Highway, and I'm just kind of wondering, we've been in a kind of year-to-year cycle on leases with them for the past couple years, it feels like, and wondering if there is this mostly a hesitation on Alaska's part to sign a longer-term lease? I imagine we're looking for keeping them as customers and tenants. Can you describe any hesitation that we've seen for longer leases?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Terry Lahi, Property Manager. You're correct. The hesitation is more on the Alaska side. They are committed to come here, but I believe political and budgetary reasons, they can't go more than 1 year at a time.
Okay. All right. Well, that's kind of what I thought, but thanks for the info.
And that has
Appreciate
been for the last few years.
it. It seems like about 3 or 4 years now.
Correct.
That's correct. Yeah. Okay. That was my only question. Thank you.
When was your last trip up? You went this year, didn't you?
Joe Spencer went this year.
Went this year.
We go every year.
Yeah, it's not from lack of trying. Commissioner Briscoe, consent agenda?
No, I'm good with everything.
And I got all my questions answered, so Tracy?
Motion to approve consent agenda items A through I.
Commissioner Briscoe?
Yes.
Commissioner Shepard?
Also, yes.
And Commissioner Bell is a yes. Now we have a presentation on the draft budget. Favorite time of year?
Mine too.
So hi, Commissioners. Tamara Sobczak, CFO. I do have the privilege of presenting third quarter financials as well as talking a little bit about what's in our 2026 budget. So I will jump right in. We'll start with the statistical information. Our stormwater program for the third quarter, both permits are in compliance with record keeping and training. Those third quarter samples do represent first fall flush sampling event. At BLI, samples were within permit limits, and we had 4 exceedances at the shipping terminal. The zinc and total suspended solids were on the warehouse 1, and we think the suspended solids were due to seagull activity over the summer. And then there were 2 slight exceedances for copper at 2 other locations. The level 3 corrective action triggered in 2023 was completed last month, and then we are on track to meet all other required responses. Looking at our safety reports, we've had year-to-date 6 injuries and 1 illness. This doesn't really show a good picture because at the beginning of the graph, we had about 100 employees, and now we have about 135. So while it's going up, you'd kind of expect to have a little bit of an increase. A couple things I want to mention about this is after every incident, management does investigate the incident with a future prevention in mind. And also, maintenance performs daily safety checks on any new projects. So we're being really proactive to try to prevent accidents from happening at all. Public records requests. So there are 3 major requests open. That means it's taking months and months to fulfill because it's any and all, lots of contracts, lots of personnel issues, not issues, but requests for personnel information. We've had 80 year-to-date. It's taken over 500 hours to fulfill those requests. One thing to mention here as well is we've spent over $38,000 in legal fees responding to these requests, largely because it's a lot of personnel requests that need to be vetted through. Are these responsive? Are they private information that we can't disseminate? So while I appreciate the transparency, it does cost taxpayers money when these requests are asked. So I want to move into the financial information now. So the first 9 months, we are steadily increasing our balance sheet, which is great. At the end of last year, we were at $283 million. At the end of September, we're at $291 million net assets. Our current investments, we have $6 million in these municipal and federal securities, and they are earning about 2.8% annual interest. And then the balance of our investments are in the local government investment pool, earning just over 4%. So this next big chunk of my presentation is we're going to be going between 2025 year-to-date versus budget, and then 2025 budget compared to 2026 budget. So we'll see how we're doing this year and then what we're expecting for next year. And I'll dive into these. But port-wide year-to-date versus budget, we're right at revenues. I could not believe how close this was. And then expenses about $500,000 less than budgeted. So doing well there. And then looking at next year, we are projecting revenues a little bit higher, about $2 million higher next year, and expenses about $3 million higher. And I'll explain that as we get into it. So looking at the airport, sorry, let me look at my notes. Yeah. So the airport, we're looking at just a slight increase in revenues as we continue those conversations with the airlines. We expect to see something more in the 27, 28 years if things move the way that we are hoping they move. Oh, sorry, that was this year. Budget doing great. That's what I mean. And then, and then next year, the blue, the revenues, a little bit higher, but not anything super significant. Marinas are pretty full, so this revenues are as expected this year. Expenses we're holding within budget, so looking good there. Next year, looking at a little bit higher revenue as those scheduled rate increases come into effect. And let's see, cruise terminal, this is, it's pretty steady. They come when they come, and expenses are pretty steady as well. And then for next year, not expecting much change in that division either. The shipping terminal, I think I spoke about this the last time I was up here, that we were not projecting to make our projected revenues, and that is the case. We will not be making those projected revenues this year. But looking at next year, we're looking at a no. Sorry, apologies. We are looking at a bump as we get that pier under, more activity. And then what's not shown here is the 27, 28, 29, where we're really projecting those revenues to ramp up and that activity to really get moving down there.
And if I can just interrupt,
Yeah.
one thing on the shipping terminal not meeting revenues for this year, that's partially because it's taking us a little bit longer to get Granite activated than we had anticipated. So they aren't yet operating.
Great. Okay, real estate, this is kind of the same story as the marinas, they're full. So very high occupancy, very steady, predictable revenues and expenses. And then next year, not showing any new lines of business coming on, just keeping those, hopefully, tenants occupying our spaces. And then overhead, exactly what we expect, very predictable staffing and costs just to run the port. And then next year, that increase is mainly due to some increased positions in the executive department. So we've talked about adding a deputy director, we've talked about adding a tribal liaison, and those are housed in this section here. And then the waterfront district, this is basically the 1000 F Street warehouse and the container village. So very steady, nothing surprising this year for that division. And then next year, looking about the same revenues, expenses a little bit higher. We're seeing utilities, mainly garbage, utilities for the container village, potentially going up. And then all other public, this is, all of our community connections, economic development, meetings and events. We're right at budget for revenues and expenses here as well. And then next year, we're looking at expenses bumping up about $1 million, and that's that agreement that we've talked about. That's housed in this public division. And then just to briefly touch on the large capital projects for 2026. I know we've talked about these already. I just wanted to remind everyone. The rail spur at the shipping terminal is a very, very large project with a large grant as well. Rehabbing the runway at the airport, that should start in 2026, but mainly finish in 2027. Blaine Industrial Area, this is that Westman site, the travel lift, piers, bulkhead, all those other costs that come with the cleanup as well, offset by a grant. Looking at designing the Federal Inspection Services building at the airport, also offset by a grant. And then the Fairhaven hand launch vessel dock is in the budget for construction next year at $1.6 million with a small grant offset. And then we'll continue to analyze, design, permit the Squalicum Inner Harbor upgrades next year. I also mentioned this, I think, at our last meeting. So we have about $26.5 million in existing debt. And in 2026, we are budgeting to issue another just over $17 million. And then I showed a 5-year just to kind of get an idea. We have very, very large projects ahead of us. We've seen that wave coming, and they're starting to hit shore. So the we're looking at contemplating 10 million in 2028 and then 31 in 2029. Obviously, as we get to those years, we'll revise these numbers, but this is what the plan shows now. And then that bottom table shows the annual estimated payments of those. And then one thing I do need to have a decision on, either tonight or next meeting or sometime before the budget gets approved, is the tax revenues decision. So the question is, does the commission want to increase the base tax? And we can keep it flat, meaning 0, or we can go up at 1% maximum. The assumptions that I have in this budget are 0% increase. I assume tax on new construction, so as new buildings are built, we will tax those. Assume assessed value continues to increase, and if you do the math, that means the rate will decrease. And before I get into it, I had some question or some feedback that the property tax levy is confusing, and it's hard to follow. So if you'll entertain me, I have a very simplified explanation on how the port tax levies tax. So I promise you just a couple minutes. Very simplified. So the port is a county-wide jurisdiction. So let's pretend that in all of the county, there's 3 properties, just 3, simplified. And the assessed value is, so the Whatcom County Assessor's Office goes out and says, what are these properties valued at? So they said they're valued at $60 billion. To get the rate that the port levies, it's rate per thousand. So instead of saying billion, we'll multiply it by million, just to take off those 3 zeros. Our decision is the $8 million decision. So that's historically just what it's grown to be. So in 2025, we've levied about $8 million. So that's our real number. So take $8 million divided by 60 million for the assessed value, and that's our rate per thousand. So if somebody's home is valued at $1,000, they're going to pay the port 13 cents. So let's assume property number 1 is worth 10 billion, so 10 million, multiply by the rate. That property owner 1 pays the port $1.3 million. Property owner 2, their property is valued at 20 billion, so multiply that out, and they're paying the port 2.7 million. House or property 3, 30 billion rate. That's where we get to the 8 million, right? So it's dispersed. So this is where it can get confusing for people. So year 2, the county goes out and reassesses the property. And they said, okay, well now that all 3 of those properties are worth 66 billion. And the Port Commission says, that's okay, we still only want our 8 million. We're not gonna raise taxes, we're gonna keep it flat. So if you do the math, now our rate is 0.1212, 80 million, or 8 million divided by 66 million. But not every single property goes up at the same rate. So let's say property number 1, no increase in assessed value. The assessor says, nope, it's still worth 10 billion. So now property number 1 owner pays the port 1.2 million because we're multiplying their value based on the new rate. Property number 2 has a modest increase, so do the math, 21 million times 0.1212, and you get 2.5 million. House number 3 had a pretty significant increase. I don't know if they put in an Olympic-sized swimming pool or what, but 35 billion is their assessed value, and multiply that by the rate, they're gonna pay the port 4.2 million. So that we still get the 8 million, it's just distributed differently. So when we say we're keeping your taxes flat, that may or may not be true depending on your assessed value. So I'm hoping that did not make it worse. But thank you for that. So with that, I do want to open it up for discussion if you want to discuss it now or if you want to think about it and we can talk about it later.
How much more do you have to go on your presentation?
2 more slides.
Yeah, why don't we finish the slides and then we'll.
Perfect. So all of that projected beginning cash flow of next year, 12.2. that's not really cash in bank, that's basically unencumbered. Sources of cash, 138.5, uses of cash, 134.2. Those are really big numbers because we have very large cleanup projects, we have very large capital projects, we have some property sales in there. Projected ending cash, 16.5, then we take off our reserve because we don't want to spend every dime we make. And we project to end the year, next year, with 5.5 million unencumbered cash. Next steps, in 2 weeks, we'll have a public hearing where the public can have an opportunity to come and say whatever they want to say about the budget. It has been on our website for over a week, the draft. So there's opportunity for people to view it and comment. And then on November 18th, we'll have a second public hearing. And then that's when we'll ask the commission to vote on the budget and the tax levy. And that is it from me.
Thank you. I, for one, appreciate the pictures. Just do better with the coloring book as well, so thank you. So Commissioner Shepherd, you want to start this off?
Sure. I'm just wondering how you can get the assessor to find my house at 0 increase. Can you do that?
I can probably make a call.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Yeah.
Thanks for the presentation. It's great to see those large capital projects on the horizon. I think that really gives folks an indication of where we're headed and where we'll be putting our effort in. So I thought the budget retreat that we had recently was really productive, and we were able to see these in lots of good explanation. So thanks for that. Hearing that you have contemplated our budget with the 0% increase is where I'm inclined for us to land.
Okay.
Commissioner Briscoe?
Great presentation. The numbers were a little scary. The billions and millions, but it was explained it very well. I'm still ecstatic on our numbers. I don't want to increase. There's enough increasing going on everywhere. And we've discussed this before, that the increase, if we did, would be minimal. So cash to us. So I would prefer not to increase.
Are you finished?
Yes.
Okay. Just curious if you know where the copper exceedance has got its source? On the, you're a couple slides back, but
Yeah,
we were told that we've made it a point to let you finish your presentations and then go back, so on.
Yeah. I don't think I know about the copper.
Oh,
John is
and
here.
a voice from the crowd emerges.
Hi, John Olson, Marine Terminals Manager. I think the copper is from just project traffic throughout the summer.
So when you say project traffic, you mean
Construction projects.
that are ongoing?
Yeah,
Okay.
they're kind of right in the line of where the exceedance was.
And that construction's for how much longer?
Not much longer. Yeah, a couple more weeks.
Okay. All right, thank you. Then a request to the staff as a whole. I really do want to communicate those projects as we go forward, because we are going to be increasing the debt. And if we could name those projects and delineate them and make sure we get that out so that everybody knows what we're spending the money on, that would be an important.
Commissioner, you're talking about the large projects we talked about at the budget
Yeah.
retreat, like the Blaine, the Westman cleanup, all the planning that's going on up there, then plus the shipping terminal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just to make sure that we've got some transparency about why we're increasing the debt and where it's going. And we
Oh,
wanna-
what we're issuing the debt for.
What we're issuing the
Gotcha.
debt for, yeah.
Yep,
Yeah, there are specific
There are,
projects
yes.
tied to that.
there is.
Yeah, and they've been on the books for a long time, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And then on the increase, thank you for the explanation, and, part of me just loves the idea that if the assessor doesn't increase the price of your home, that you actually you pay less. And that is a huge bonus, but that will never happen. And I'm also inclined to stay at 0. So I think you've heard from all three of us. Do we need to vote?
No, no, I'll put it on the November 18th.
Yeah, for the amount of money we've got, it's not worth it.
Thank you.
So thank you. Anything else, you two, before we move on? Okay. All right, action item.
Move to approve the lease for Puget Sound Energy's community solar installation on the roof of the Fisherman's Pavilion building located at 2599 South Harbor Loop Drive, Bellingham.
You gonna make him come up?
No, but I would love to access my slides, and I don't want to mess this up. Can I just, okay, there's a PowerPoint that use this one? Perfect. Thanks. Thanks, Andrew. Okay, my name is Adrienne Douglas Scott. I'm the Sustainability Program Manager for the Port of Bellingham. I do have an action for you today, which is a lease for the roof space only of the Fisherman's Pavilion for a community solar project, which we would be partnering with PSE on. And as you pointed out, Commissioner, we have Brian Heinrich from PSE here with us today. So if we have any specific questions for PSE, I'm sure Brian would love to answer them. All right, so we last talked about this, believe it or not, in May of 2024. So it feels like yesterday, I know, but it has been a while. So at that point, we were looking for a discussion on the solar program in general, and also a head nod from you, the commission, to go ahead and sign a non-binding good faith term sheet with PSE to go ahead and explore a project like this, because it did put a lot of the work on them. And since then, we've had quite a lot of work and discussion on the staff level as well as PSE, and I feel like we've had a really good collaboration and have a good product for you today. So the Fisherman's Pavilion is on Harbor Loop Drive, just right by Zwanich Park, where the pink arrow is on their screen. And that's in Bellingham in Squalicum Harbor. The lease itself is for a 15-year initial term and 2 5-year renewals. The rent, last time we talked about it, we didn't know what that was because we didn't have the design yet, but the rent is $3,500 annually with a 3% annual escalation. The solar array itself, the sizing is a 100 kilowatt output, so that's actually the same size as what's on the cruise terminal and what's on the airport terminal building as well. With the community solar agreement, PSE owns, installs, maintains, and eventually removes those solar panels unless the port decides to purchase them down the line. So we do not anticipate any impact to Fisherman's Pavilion uses. It'll be on the roof. You won't even see them or know they're there, hopefully. So those events that are at the Fisherman's Pavilion, particularly like Dockside, Sea Feast, all the uses from the fishermen themselves, that they shouldn't see any impact from this, except during construction, which will be quick. So this is an overhead look, looking straight down at the rooftop photovoltaic panels plan. So all of the red lines that you see on this, and you can see they're sort of maxing out the roof space, those are all of the solar panels. One important thing that we discovered by talking to all of the staff, our maintenance folks, our electricians, events, were that it was really important for us to not have any perforations in the roof. And the only penetration in the roof here is over the eave on this side of it. So there's nothing that would go into the building and potentially have any sort of leaks or anything right into the building, or any interference with the net wires or anything that's inside. PSE has completed their structural analysis, their feasibility study, and the 100% design. So that's what you're seeing in front of you here. So community solar, this is a new one for us, it's the Port of Bellingham, but it's not for PSE. So again, PSE, Puget Sound Energy, which is our electrical utility, would own this system. Port is considered a host partner for this. PSE partners with folks that have roofs and roof space where they can provide the electricity to their customers that purchase shares. And there's different mechanisms to that, and I'm happy to answer questions on that if there's any on that. So it's a pretty straightforward lease, and staff recommends approval. And I would love to talk about it if you have any questions.
Start with you, Commissioner Briscoe.
Yeah, the only question I have is I didn't see the restrooms. Are they installing the restrooms in there?
Not yet.
Those are not associated with this particular project, but
Geez, we couldn't get that in there, huh?
But I hear
it
you.
sounds-
yeah.
It sounds good. Thank you.
Did we ask?
But now you
Didn't
have,
you get the memo?
Okay, now we're stretching.
now there might be $3,500 a year towards restrooms. Maybe this
That's,
could be
that's
banked.
really nice porta potties.
Mr. Shepherd?
So a couple questions. Maybe you could explain the community solar model to us a little bit more, just how individual customers are able to participate in a program like this.
Yeah, so PSE will be offering this, and Brian, feel free to jump in if I'm saying this wrong, but they will be offering it to customers geographically out from the project itself. So they're different waves of offerings. And what they will be offering actually depends on the results of a grant application that they have at the moment. So they don't have the results of that yet. If they are accepted to be part of this program that has a grant associated with it, then they can offer those shares at no cost to low-income residents here in Bellingham. And if they cannot do that, then what they do is sell those shares for $20. And people actually do get a reduced rate on their bills as a result of that. So people who just can't put solar on their roofs for whatever reason, if they're in an apartment or have a lot of trees or just an old roof, they can still benefit from the benefits of solar.
Okay. Sounds like a good program. How are our panels doing? We've had questions in the past about panels in proximity to the marine environment. Yeah. How are they doing on the cruise terminal? I saw that the birds like to decorate them, and wondering about what type of washing and maintenance we have are performing.
So we have found, if you look at the production over time and look at when we've cleaned those, which has been annually so far, our maintenance crews actually get up there with like a big sort of pool vacuum stick and rub them all off. And they do that after seagull nesting, so they did that in October. And that, if you look at the production on our dashboard, which is available on our website, you can't actually see any noticeable or significant difference as a result of the cleaning. I think it's really important that we do that, obviously. Yeah, you can see it from next door. You can see that they are quite covered, so I think it's important to keep doing it. But so far, we haven't seen any noticeable impact.
Okay. And they appear to be holding up well.
Yep, no breakages. I think there was concern in our last meeting about birds dropping shells on them, and we haven't had any issues like that.
Okay, great. Maybe my last question is, do we have any other roofs that would make a good kind of opportunity for a program like this that we're considering?
We do have a lot of roofs that would be great for solar. This is the only one we've talked about with PSE for the community solar program, but I can definitely bring you a few. I have a list right here. And we are applying for grants for some other programs, or other solar programs. So this is not the only solar that we're looking at installing in the next few years, but it's definitely a great way for us to put solar on our roof and have that benefit go to the community.
And am I correct with still my bragging rights that we have the largest municipal solar energy installations in the county?
We did on public buildings when we installed it there, and I don't know, Brian, if you've heard any different? So still the same.
Yeah. All right. Good.
Commission, I would just remind you when you're asking about other roofs, a couple years ago, we had kind of solar projects dispersed throughout our budget in many different places, and sort of asked the environmental team, Brian and Adrian, who's really been heading it up, to kind of consolidate that and get it into an orderly fashion. I think Adrian's done a really good job, so thanks for that.
All right. That's it for me.
Are we going to be using any of the power? Are we going to be using any of the power ourselves? Are we going to be buying any of it back for buildings that we have?
If we are eligible to purchase a share, we can talk about it at that point. Yep.
But
We
it
don't
won't be
know yet.
used in the building itself.
Not at this point unless we buy a share.
Because we could use some heaters in there too,
Yeah.
just saying, for wintertime leasing. Hello, real estate.
Maybe some radiant panels.
That was in the meeting, or that was in the memo too.
Along with the bathroom?
Yeah.
We could put a Tesla battery on the side of the building. All right, that's all I've got. I like the program. Thank you. Just out of curiosity, this one's for Brian. Are you offering this same lease program for private roofs as well?
Brian Heinrich, Puget Sound Energy. So that's a good question. I believe that leasing structure is specific to community solar. So community solar projects are going to have something very similar, but I can look into that and get back to you.
Just know I let you off easy. All right, that's all I got. Thank you. Action item?
Motion to approve the lease for Puget Sound Energy's community solar installation on the roof of the Fisherman's Pavilion building located at 2599 South Harbor Loop Drive, Bellingham.
Commissioner Briscoe?
Yes.
Commissioner Shepard?
Also, yes?
Commissioner Bell is also a yes. Thank you, and thank the PSE for extending the offer. Thank you, Adrian. Wonderful. All right, we're at the end of the official declared meeting, so anybody else with any other public comment, we would like to have you come forward to comment on anything your heart desires. Just give us your name. You can talk. Brian Heinrich.
Still Brian Heinrich, Puget Sound Energy. Just wanted to thank you all for the action you just took, and we're real excited to partner with the port and work with folks like Adrian. And so thank you, and we look forward to continuing that.
Yeah, just acknowledgement. Staff has really pushed this, so we appreciate it.
Good evening, Commission. My name is Mark Jerry. I'm a Sunnyland resident. I'm speaking entirely on my own recognizance tonight. No other groups connected to my behaviors or choices. I want to first thank Brian because PSE is doing awesome work with adding the solar. I want to see it on Warehouse 1 and Warehouse 2. It's something I brought up to the Commission a couple years ago. Maybe in connection with marine batteries to do shore power. I'd like to thank the staff for being on top of that as well. And Sarah, a staff member in particular, I want to call out for pointing out the budget being put up on Facebook and linked around, because that's where I've been spending my time reading it, including line 124, which includes 3 acres of the shipping terminal being repaved. I was going to ask what 3 acres, because that's very interesting to me, but it'd be very useful for certain cargoes to have a flat surface. So that's a critical use of money and funds. I also noticed that line 167 includes $450,000 for parking in the waterfront district, which I also noticed that there will be $130 or so million being spent on that remediation and cleanup of that area in the 2 years after that money is spent. My personal opinion is that maybe that money should be spent after remediation so it doesn't have to be wasted being torn up and replaced again. So putting the cart before the horse is where I would like to see things go in that regard. But I'll take another 2 weeks and read the other half of the budget document before I make additional comments there. Thank you so much.
Would you do me a favor and just sit right there after making that comment? I just want you to
Yes,
sit
next to my new best friend.
right next to
Yes.
Carly.
Yes.
Because what you just advocated for, I'd like to see how that plays out.
Sure.
For the rest of the meeting. Yeah, very good. Thank you. Thank you. How's that going? Any other public comments? Anybody online? All right. We're going to move on to other business. Shall we start with Commissioner Briscoe?
I don't really have any other business at this time, but I know we're going to be talking about the fuel dock, so I'll wait till
Yeah.
you gentlemen get through with yours.
Yeah, we'll do that at the end.
Okay. Tiffany, I believe for that item in the budget that Mark was referring to, the cleanup is in a separate location, and maybe I'm looking at Brian here. I believe the parking lot is in a separate location from that cleanup, and so there wouldn't be any need to tear up and remove and replace.
Yep, that's right. Brian Gowan, Director of Environmental and Planning Services. So yeah, the area where the parking lot's planned has already undergone the environmental cleanup. That's part of the pulp and tissue mill remedial action unit of the GP site, which was done a number of years ago. There's an existing cap and institutional controls and a coordination with ecology for anything we need to do down there. But yeah, the only thing that would impact that project in the future would be future development in that area. So there's a large scale cleanups all over, but that area's already been done. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Brian.
Yep.
You're free to go back.
Okay. Tiffany, would you be willing to comment, or maybe somebody from our airport team is here? We've received a number of emails about TSA and the Homeland Security Department's request to play a video at some airports around the country. Maybe you could clarify what we've experienced in or haven't experienced at Bellingham Airport.
Sure.
Can I put some flesh on? So it rivals calling pickleball a fad, the number of emails we've gotten on the TSA.
Yeah, thanks, Commissioners. We've gotten quite a few comments on our social media as well and have been watching that. We're following the rest of the regional airports in the area. We aren't currently playing, nor do we have the capability to play it if we were playing it. So hopefully that answers your question. It's not playing there. It seems like we're getting a lot of comments that maybe people haven't been to the airport, so they assume we're playing it, but we are in fact not.
Okay. And am I correct, at this time, we haven't been asked to play it? Or has that changed?
That's correct.
Maybe you want to come to the airport, or
Gage.
the airport, the
To the microphone.
Hi there, Gage Daly, Airport Operation Manager. Yeah, we don't have the infrastructure like Tiffany said, and we also, I don't believe, have been asked. We have not been reached out to play that video. So no, there's no video being played at the airport. Yep.
Okay, easy enough. Thank you very much. Those were my only questions, I believe, aside from discussing the fuel dock. And I know we've talked about this before. We've had opinions from staff about fuel dock in the past. And maybe, Tiffany, if you want to lead us off with some conversation.
Yeah, happy to have that. Oh, sorry,
Ready?
Commissioner.
Yeah, I had a couple other business too.
Okay.
So I just wanted to, if we are asked, the commission then has a decision to make. Is that a correct statement?
We would confer with Commission
Oh, for
the
TSA?
video.
Yeah.
The video.
Oh, okay, the
Yeah.
video.
And then, but the commission would have a say in that?
Sure.
At some level?
Definitely.
Just who they lock up?
The Commission and legal.
Okay. Yeah, that's really all I wanted to clarify. Now let's go into the fuel dock, and we may ask you to come up for a couple of questions.
Do you want me to talk about the fuel dock? Well, first of all, I would be remiss, and I think Holly might give me a tongue lashing if I don't remind the commission that generally public comment we don't speak to. Happy to talk about this in general and come back with more staff work. We don't usually speak to it at the same meeting. But I think that what you'll find is as we're doing the planning for the Westman cleanup and the boatyard, that we're talking about what do those finger piers look like and where is it possible to put a fuel dock.
Yeah, I'm more worried about, I'd like to have the request that he made, that we submit a letter to Semiahmoo. I just think it's unwise to let a monopoly continue to dominate
So I would
and create ill will.
So I would ask that the group put together a letter and send it to us, and then staff can get it to commission for their consideration. Does that make sense?
Commissioner Briscoe?
Yeah, I was at the original meeting when they told us all the things they were going to do and not do. And, it lasted about as long as I thought it would last. They weren't very forthright people there, and they still aren't. I don't like what they're doing better than anybody else does. We can ask, but I know the fuel company is delivering fuel there is really, in my opinion, very good to work with. I have very, very, very good dealings with them for the last couple of years. So I think we can certainly, I don't think, I don't know that we need to put this on the people, the group there. I think that this one would be on the port, on the commission to put something forward because they came to the commission and we have records of what they told us. And I think we just very simply need to make a bullet point, letter to send back to them with what, hey, you said you were going to do this, you said you were going to do this, and this is what was said. Why isn't it being done?
Can I assume we did not get a formal agreement at the time with Semiahmoo? We have nothing in writing? It was all verbal?
The only thing I've seen is that commission meeting that the gentleman refers to, and
No other promises, and they were all verbal? And
Yeah,
they're-
no, they made the promises on tape at the meeting, so.
and I know
we asked-
and I know Andy's been in contact with them, but maybe a letter from commission would be more impactful.
I believe so.
Okay.
Can I ask what leverage we have?
Zero. I mean, I hate to say that and laugh about it, but, you know,
So we had
The long
leverage
and
in
short-
2016, but we didn't use it.
well, the only leverage you had in 2016 is we were going to put a fuel dock in. Okay, we
That's what I
drug our feet along because they said they were going to take care of things. So we didn't feel the urgency at the time. And, you know, we're waiting to get things cleaned up, and where do we put it? Well, I think we've got urgency again now. It's been long enough. We need to get off the pot, so to speak, and try and get something figured out and get it done here.
Is there a temporary solution?
Well, the only temporary solution, that we had was the fuel trucks, which they still come up there. But the problem with that is you've got a lot of small boats, and to get fuel, the fuel truck it's pretty expensive to bring it up there. With, you know, if the guy's only going to take 100 gallons or 200 gallons, we like to, you know, unload 1,000 or 2,000 at a time. So, you know, getting everybody together on the same day during the fishing season to get fuel is rather difficult. So, and gas, you can't get gas delivered in a truck. So, it's pretty complicated. I think the best thing we do is see if we can talk to the people across the street and make them do what they said they would do, and go from there. But I think staff and the commission need to talk about this maybe in an executive session, have them come up with some options would be my best recommendation.
We'll have staff start by reaching out, and then we'll get a letter together for commission to sign if you're interested.
I think it'd be lovely if the three of you commissioners that were in that original meeting would knock on their door. I can arrange that.
I don't know if you want me to do that.
Oh, yeah. I've seen you in action.
Okay. No, I'm more than willing to talk to them. Not a problem. Give me some phone numbers, and or if when I get done fishing, I get a chance to get home, I can drive out to Semiahmoo and speak with the people.
Yeah, I just think they made the promise and looked you in the eye and didn't deliver on the promise they gave you. So I've always found that kind of accountability refreshing.
We'll do a little bit more staff work.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, any other business?
I have none.
Okay, and mine is just to do a real quick update on the executive director search. And I think I would like to have one meeting with the commissioners, more than likely next week, so that we can move on it to make sure we're on the same page with all items of that. It is the one thing that we have. And I think we've all been talked to separately by staff, but I don't think we've had our final commission conversation. And I think there was some stuff that came back from the interview process. I kind of want to download a little bit of that. I also want to make sure that we're on the same page with the solicitation before it goes out, so that the wording fits all of us. I'd like to have all three of us on the same page at least when we do go forward. It is the one thing that we are responsible for. So it may not be in the timing of the rest of the world, but I do think it needs to be our timing. And I would like to have that conversation, if you guys don't mind, at perhaps the next opportunity.
at the next commission meeting. So you, oh, sorry, Commissioner Briscoe?
Yeah, I would just say that we were responsible for a lot more than that, but as far as hiring a person, it would be that one.
So are you thinking the executive session on the 4th? Is that? It might not fit. Holly's giving me a look.
Yeah, you guys give me this wrinkle here I didn't have before I started representing the port. I just want to make sure that we fall within executive session. So we can't really have an executive session to discuss the executive director recruitment because you're not talking about a particular person. You could review the performance of a public employee or consider candidates for a position. But just in general, that doesn't fit within executive session.
Yeah, and I'm not hell-bent on having executive session. I'm perfectly happy to do it here.
So commissioners, you've all been provided the proposed job description, and if Riley, if you want to step up, if you have anything to add, the proposed job description and wage range. But what you're saying is you haven't been provided with the results of the survey?
It's not even that. It's just being on the same page and having us have that conversation. And we have the executive the delegation of authority.
1106?
1106 that we have to go through, and I would like to go through that as well. We've been given some red lines, but I think we should have a discussion about all of those. Some of those we're going to dismiss as just being, yes, part of the ordinary course, but I do think others of those are going to require us to have a conversation. And right now, I'd rather have more of those than less at the moment. I'm sorry.
Riley Wynn, Director of Human Resources. As far as the stakeholder interviews and the employee survey, those will be wrapping up this week, and then the recruiting firm does plan to get you a summarized report about all the results. You won't get the individualized results, but you will get a report on that. As far as the brochure, the job description, and the wage range go, I just want to emphasize that we are at a standstill in the recruitment until we get a decision on that. So no progress will be made until the commission gives direction on those 3 items. But there's nothing that's precluding the commission other than scheduling, giving us approval on that. We're not waiting on the stakeholder interviews. They've already kind of drafted the brochure. So that's where we're at.
Yeah, and I looked it over today, and I got a couple of things that I already had questions about. So since I've already submitted those back, some of those are philosophical, and I think one of them is public, private, what's the role when we go out? I'd like to have that discussion with the fellow commissioners. There's just a couple of things that I think need some fleshing out.
So you'd like to include that under presentation or updates at a future commission meeting?
Yeah, just so that we can have a conversation.
Or the 17th?
Yeah.
On the agenda.
Yeah, and I'm okay with it not going out for a bit,
Okay.
So
as long as you are.
Yeah, just to be clear, because I think we're all probably getting asked in our public lives out there, when is the job posting? So just to be clear that we aren't going forward yet with the job posting,
Yeah.
if people ask.
And I'm just going to say, we haven't done this in decades, right? So it's important. I want to give it its due.
Okay.
I'm fine with waiting and getting them. I do have some questions, and I'd like to air some things out with my fellow commissioners and see where we're all at. And we are on the same page, so to speak, so we don't have headbutting going on when we get in the final stretch.
That's my concern. Thank you.
And is it best to wait until the 4th, or should we try and find a special meeting next week?
We'll take a look at the agendas for the 4th and the 17th and see how full they are, and then determine. Do you have a preference of which meeting it goes to?
I'd just like to see it happen sooner than later. I don't want to hold up the process unnecessarily.
So you're interested in calling it potentially a special meeting to have a discussion about it? We sure could.
Yeah, not between now and the 4th.
No.
Yeah, me either, because I'm
Okay.
fishing and I'm, morning special meetings or whatever, it won't work for me.
Yeah, I would just soon do it on the 4th, and
Let's try for the 4th.
I'll be in hiding on the 4th anyway, so.
I was going to do the 1106 on the 4th. Could we do maybe one of those? You want to move the 1106 to the 17th?
No, let's do the 1106 first. It may have a bearing.
Okay. 1106 on the 4th and
do them both
executive.
on the 4th.
And Okay,
You guys. All right.
okay.
That being said, if that's all we have, then I think meeting adjourned.